Hello, guys. Welcome back to We Watch Movie. I'm Mike.
I'm Jay.
And we are reviewing Superman, the new Superman, and there might be spoilers in this, so watch your tongue, sir.
People are gonna be spoiled. David Corn Sweat. You know what? I gotta be
Jimmy
honest.
Crack Corn?
Pretty good Superman. Not a bad Superman. No. I actually had my doubts about him, but he pulled it off pretty well. The suit didn't look bad either with the underwear on the outside.
I thought it was a little baggy, though. It was a little baggy.
Well, he put on some muscle mass over the winter.
He did his best. He's no Henry Cavill. No, I'm kidding about that, but honestly, Henry Cavill's still my favorite Superman. 100%. But I will say this, David Corn Sweat did a hell of a job.
Well, my favorite Superman is Christopher Reeve, but Henry Cavill is the better of the 21st century for sure.
You know, let me say this. So our lead up to this movie was Jay and I. We'll just tell you straight up, we're both huge Man of Steel guys. Mm-hmm. Huge Man of Steel. Love BVS. Love what Zack Snyder was doing. However...
It's fucking 10! It's 10!
However, let me say this as well. We were both open to James Gunn. We're not one of those like, I hope it sucks because I want the Snyderverse to come. No. Superman is such an interesting character that it's a good thing if there's a brighter version and a darker version or whatever. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong at all with what Zack Snyder tried to do, and I don't think there's anything wrong with going back to the ways of old with Superman either. So we were both hopeful for this movie. That being said, the trailers to me, and I think to you a little bit, maybe not as much, were a little bit underwhelming. I thought that the special effects looked awful in the trailers, and I thought specifically they looked like the Flash movie with that terrible fisheye lens and awful special effects, especially when he's flying in the air. And I'm a big stickler for special effects and CG. That being said, and also not a Nicholas Hoult guy.
Yeah.
That being said, the effects... I feel like the worst effect shots were actually in the trailer, which is a good thing.
I feel like the effects were fine. I didn't mind the effects in it. I feel like the worst part about the movie for me, and it's kind of a nitpicky thing, but I understand why they did it, was the 100-mile-an-hour plot points they were going. Like, the movie moved really fucking fast.
Oh, yeah,
which I get, like, because the movie, I think, comes in at like 2 hours and 5 minutes. So that's not a terrible thing that it was.
I come in like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I was like, this thing was faster than being in the bed with Sydney Sweeney with some oil. But yeah, it was. That was probably the only part that Nicholas Hoult. Again, we said it from the beginning. Nicholas Hoult, in my opinion, is not Lex Luthor. I like the way that he acted in the movie came across more of like a fucking goddamn Napoleon Dynamite. You idiot!
See, I was actually gonna say, dude, he won me over. No, he won me over in this. I thought he was.
He wasn't terrible, but like
I think he was my favorite Lex Luthor.
I feel like
I'm dead serious, man. That. I did not. I thought he was gonna suck though, but I really.
He's better than Jesse Eisenberg, but I will say that the point him like.
Meryl Streep naked taking a dump is better than Jesse
Eisenberg. He just came across as like every time like something. He's like, "What do you want, idiot?" Okay, God. Well, you know what? You might want to join a couple of gangs because I've already been invited to 3 of them, and it's pretty dangerous. Like he came across as such. I don't know what it was. Like he just came across as very cartoony.
Did you laugh when he kept knocking over the coffee cup?
That was
funny as hell.
Yeah, Mr. Terrific was great. That guy was funny as fuck, dude. Like that guy was like, damn, it's Superman, a flying dog, a baby, and a Mr. Squiggly Man. I thought that was pretty funny. And then surprise of the night for me was Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern. I thought I'd hate him, and Guy Gardner is one of those guys in the comic books that you either like him or you hate him. He was actually pretty spot on the character from the comic books, and I actually did like Nathan Fillion's performance in that. Lois Lane was all right, didn't really give a shit really one way or the other about her. And
I like that she felt like she made that character her own though. She didn't feel like the other Lois
She wasn't
Lanes.
following any kind of trend. And then Jimmy Olsen's Jimmy Olsen, but the one character in my opinion that just kind of got stuck in to be like, we got to have another superhero, so let's throw it in there. Is Hawk Girl. I was like, why are you screaming all the time? Like, it's weird that they didn't throw in Hawk Man because he came first. I think I'm not 100% up on the Hawk Man, Hawk Girl mythos, but it was just weird. Like she was in it, but then she wasn't in it. I don't know. Like she just really didn't have any kind of arc.
See, I felt like the plot was a little overstuffed, and not in a way because you're right. The movie moved really fast. Like the movie, I never was bored at all. But that being said, Superman was so interesting, and what they were doing with him was so interesting. I would have much rather them focused on him than James Gunn having to go out and like, oh, I'm starting my universe. It's the same Marvel problem. I like it better when they just focus on this movie and make that more powerful.
One of the things I also didn't really like as far as one of the plot points is that by the way, let me point this out first off. Mike already said it. We're huge Man of Steel fans, and Man of Steel is a better movie in my opinion and your opinion.
I take it over.
I feel like it is. It just is. It's more of my type. It's more of my type of Superman. But there's nothing wrong with this movie. First off, it's a more lighthearted approach to the character of Superman, which is what a lot of people had wanted anyway. And it's definitely skews younger. It's definitely a skewed younger type of Superman, which is fine. It's a comic book movie, guys. We understand.
Yeah.
But one of the plot points I didn't really like at all was, and I was just like, what the fuck? Is like when, like Superman's like, everything's cool. Like he just stopped that big old giant monster downtown, that booger monster, and he's like, I wanted to put it in an intergalactic zoo or something. And then guy was like, don't be a wuss. And everybody's cheering. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, it pops up on the big billboard in Metropolis that Superman parents said, hey, go to Earth and fuck a bunch of chicks and rule over them hoes. And then everybody was like, oh, what the fuck? And, like, it literally just went like that. Then everybody was suddenly like, he got a gaggle of hoes? Fuck him. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I was like, that's
got a murder.
Nobody even once thought twice. Like, Superman apparently has already been on Earth for 3 years doing his thing, and everyone loves him and knows he's a good guy. But just because of one billboard post with some bald testicle looking motherfucker that's on Ian Black's talk show, and he's like, yes, the real biological parents of Superman said people of Earth are stupid, and he's supposed to make a harem of chicks and then rule over all of it with the genetics.
If that happened in real life, though,
but it took 2 seconds, and then they were throwing coffee cups at it.
Well, the end happened that fast too. The same thing with Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
When his story came out, it was like breaking. It was on Twitter in
But
like
that
5 seconds, and like immediately everybody hated him.
I was like, well, did nobody even like think twice to be like, maybe we should look into this before we jump to conclusions? I don't know. It's just my opinion.
It's your jump to conclusions, Matt.
By the way, I will. But that was the only weird thing about it. I was like, that's kind of. But again, they were trying to make sure they moved lightning fast throughout the entire movie, and it did feel very much like how a comic book would do, panel to panel. It's like, here's a plot point, there's a plot point, there's the plot point. It's only 25 pages. Let's make sure we're done with all of it by the time, in like a few minutes. But also, I will say something about funny that I will give him credit for it. It was funny. Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor, when he was in his little control tower and he was walking around going, he looked like Phil Jackson with the Chicago Bulls one. He's like, I don't know what it was about. That was funny. I felt like Nicholas Holt was trying to do a lot of things. I think he was taking elements of Gene Hackman and putting it into like more of an over-the-top comical Lex Luthor, but he was also trying his best to make it more of a serious dude.
So we made fun of Nicholas Holt before this because it's like he's always going after like the Batmans and Superman roles. And it's like, you're not that guy. Like, be a character actor, do what you're good at. So that's always been annoying about him. It was funny as hell though when he went on his big diatribe at the end and he's screaming at Superman and the veins are bulging and there's a tear in his eye and he's doing his whole thing like, you just walk in and you're hot and you're big and everybody loves you and I've been here doing this. Dude, he meant that shit. Yeah. He was literally talking about David Cornsweet. You could see his face. He fucking meant that shit. I wanted to be Superman and you took it from me, you bastard.
He was letting all those emotions out when Jennifer Lawrence dumped him. He was like, he's been holding on to that for a while.
It was a good run, pal.
It was great, but okay. Again, he's better than Eisenberg. I personally don't think he's the Lex Luthor for me. I never will.
You're a Rosenbaum guy, right? That's your number one?
Michael Rosenbaum, if I had to pick one right now, it would be him. Obviously, Gene Hackman's legendary as Lex Luthor.
I just don't think Gene Hackman ever felt like Lex Luthor.
Well, he felt like the comic book version of Lex Luthor. Like, he actually hit the nail on the head as far as, like, the goofy kind of Roger Morris.
It just never worked for me.
Here's the other thing, though. I don't know why you guys... It's not like... The layup is there, okay? The triangle off-bits, bitch, we can do it. Bryan Cranston is your Lex Luthor.
Cranston would have been great.
But then again, they were also. I mean, they cast it. What's his name? That was Lex Luthor in Superman Returns. He could have been great.
Kevin Spacey should have been great.
Yeah, but it was awful. Yeah. It was awful. But anyway.
But like they kept going and they kept showing someone's face, big, huge, in the middle of the screen. And James Gunn said those flying scenes weren't in this. He was like, they're not in the movie. I'm pretty sure they were. Superman flying around with his face like doing this all. I thought that looked bad. Crypto was cool. But
I liked him.
I did like Crypto, and I like how annoying they made him. However, I feel like they did a little bit with Crypto what they did with the goat in Thor 4, the goat scream, like like the fucking. I think they did that. They did that joke a few too many times. They overplayed it a little bit, but I like Crypto. I still think it would have been better had they got an actual dog. And
I'm a dog guy.
In the 90s, the dog wouldn't have been CGI. You could say, "Hell, they would have figured it out in the fucking 90s." I'll tell you that right now.
He probably wouldn't have been in the movie though. They probably couldn't have done what they wanted him to do in the movie.
Not exactly, but some of it. They could have made it work. However, I will say this. These are tiny nitpicks. The same way I feel like some people's nitpicks about Man of Steel, like, he would never kill him. Well, he was going to kill everybody. You know what I mean? Like, some of the tiny nitpicks in Man of Steel, I have tiny nitpicks of this movie. However, I'll say this. I had a good time. I had a fun time with the movie. I liked what they did, and it actually made me cry like 5 times.
You're
like,
a pussy.
I know. I'm a huge pussy, and I cry and I use my tears as lubrication. But on my
jack-off session later on.
Then I go to sleep on my cock-shaped pillow at night. But it made me cry 4 or 5 times. What they did with him, dude, for the same reason Man of Steel made me cry.
Yeah.
That character is so interesting in that he's so innocent and he's so good and people keep trying to fuck him over, and then he finds out that even his fucking parents fucked him over, and he's so alone in the universe. And then like the stuff with the step parents and all that and dude, when he was talking about crypto and he's like, yeah, but he's out there and he's alone.
Yeah,
and I know he's scared.
I know,
was like,
I know there was a lot of. I got like. I didn't get emotional, but I got like heartfelt a little bit about him talking to his dad. And you know, I know that there was some contention about they were stupid rednecks from Kansas. They're not stupid redneck from Kansas, dude. They're just like salt of the earth people. Like that.
I think he did it too hard.
Well, no, but they've got like some country wisdom and shit. Like, you know what? I don't like the iteration that they have of Ma and Paul Kent in this movie. It's fine. It's whatever. We're from Kentucky, and there are people like that. And they'll talk in a certain way, and they'll talk a little slower, and they'll have a little accent, and people immediately assume they're stupid, but that doesn't mean they're stupid.
That's, I think, why people are a little bit upset, though, because, for me, I was like, I love those characters, and I thought they were done really good. They were some of the best parts of the movie, but he didn't have to make them so stupid looking. Everybody from Kansas and Missouri is not that fucking dumb, James Gunn.
I don't think they were dumb. I just think they were salt of the earth, and he was going for that hardcore in it, and that's fine. But when he was talking to Paul Kent, Jonathan Kent, outside on the bench and or the swing, and Jonathan Kent's telling him, you know, our job as parents is just to give you the tools to do, you know, to humiliate yourself and basically learn from your mistakes. It says, you know, I could never be more proud of you. It doesn't have to be over the top intellectually motivating for him to tell his son this. In a very simple way, it gets the message across in a very country way, and it works. Yeah. And also the music was phenomenal, dude. I will say the John Williams remix that they've done throughout the entire movie was so good. And again, even as a Man of Steel super fan, it is, and I loved the Man of Steel First Flights. I can't remember who did that.
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, amazing, so good. But there's something about that John Williams score, dude. It will always be legendary. And the way they remixed it in this, and the moments that they put it in the movie when Superman was fighting evil or whatever, and being Superman, I was like, there's something about that just pulls it together so perfectly, and just adds such another layer to it.
James Gunn still knows how to craft a good soundtrack too. Just like Guardians, the music in this was great.
I did read that some people were mad about that they thought that it was the jokes were kind of worn out throughout the movie, and that you could tell the James Gunn jokes were kind of like tiresome. I really didn't get too much of that. Like, I mean, you could tell it was a James Gunn movie. I will say that. You could tell it was a James Gunn movie, but I don't think it was done in any way that's like, okay, this has been done to death. It was funny that they showed Peacemaker on the Fox.
That was good. I like that.
But yeah, overall, I feel like it was a fun movie. It was definitely a skewed younger film. It was a lot more of a brighter, hokey type of telling of Superman. It felt very much like a comic book, like straight up out of the mid 70s kind of Superman. Very bright colors, very
little Sam Raimi Spider-Man-ish.
Colorful characters, weird plot, but it was fine. Better than Superman Returns, which they tried that too. They tried to make it more wholesome, and it didn't work. But they do a good job. I personally, again, will always prefer Man of Steel, and I think Henry Cavill was the best cast Superman. They already had one, but I understand why they didn't go in that direction. But also, I will say this. In no way, shape, or form is this movie fucking woke. I don't know where that came from. I don't know who the fuck was leading that brigade saying that bullshit. I never saw anything about it. When I was watching this movie, I didn't see anything fucking political, in my opinion. I watched it. It was like, it's just a fucking superhero movie.
Yeah.
And people are making parallels and shit. But those are psychos that are online that are trying to inject their politics into a movie. And if you microscopically go over every frame of a movie,
this ketchup is woke.
Yeah, you can find something in there that'll fit your narrative of whatever weird, crazy ass politics you have.
Yeah.
But there was nothing in that. By the way, this movie was wrote in 2022, 2023, so it has nothing to do with what the current administration is or any of that. People are trying to make all sorts of parallels. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up and just enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I gave it an 8.0.
Yeah, I'm an 8.5. I'm just a little bit higher than you. But that's a really great score. The way the climate is now, people will scream at you for not giving it a 10, and people will scream at you
not a
for
10 movie.
Not giving it a 1. You know what I mean? But like this is two people who fucking love Man of Steel's honest opinion.
We gave Man of Steel a 10.
Yeah, Man of Steel's a 10 to me. Still is. Suck my dick. I don't care. I don't care how you feel about that fucking John.
But we're also 100 years old. We like that darker. We like our heroes dark.
Yeah, I like it dark at night. But I'll say this, like, overall, again, the special effects I feel like could have been a ton better. That big scene with Ultraman,
in the arena in the
Oh
stadium.
no, yeah, the stadium. I thought some of that looked bad. I thought Mr. Fantastic, terrific, Mr. Terrific. Excuse me, I was thinking about Shark Tank. The scene where Mr. Terrific shows off his stuff I thought that looked terrible. It looked just like the Flash. There was a couple shots like that were terrible, but there were some good special effects too. That river of the Minecraft river of all the
the dimensional tear.
That was really cool, and I really love how they went out of their way to show Superman saving squirrels and like doing all that stuff. I think that is like the beating heart of Superman.
Well, let me ask you, because I'm going to tell you my answer, but 100%. Did you think that David Cornsweet pulled it off?
Yes,
I did too.
100%. I think he's
as far as the version that James Gunn wants and the new direction that Warner Brothers wants to make their DCEU. Like he's 100% the right guy for it.
And this is what I'm saying. I would love to see more. Please, God, get a new cinematographer. I'm fucking begging you, James Gunn, to get a new fucking cinematographer.
What the hey, dude? You're supposed to like love this movie. what the hey, dude?
Jeez.
He said the dog's like, what the hey, dude?
You big butthole. But yeah,
Lois, that's the specific one that annoys me. Called super shit. The monkey thing was stupid.
Oh, and by the way, in this, there's way too much for them jumping right in, and I like that they did that. We talked about this earlier. I like that they just jumped in 3 years that Superman's full blown. Mm-hmm. We don't need any more origins. However, I will say there was some really corny dialogue when like Lex Luthor would walk in and like for 10 minutes he would just explain to the camera, this is why I hate Superman. I think that's the back end of that. You still have to explain some of it to an audience. And that one girl, she's like, this is why I'm doing all my work for you, Lex. I'm like, we don't need all this exposition constantly. We love Supergirl. The way that she came in drunk on the plants, that's that James Gunn shit. That's where James Gunn shines, by putting just a little punk rock edge on shit that they try to take way too seriously before. They can just have fun with it and maybe be a little edgy with it too.
Yeah,
I like that.
And I will say one more thing about the end of the movie. I did like, so at the beginning of the movie, there's been this message that Jor-El, who's played by Bradley Cooper, which is so weird to even see, but Jor-El and his mother, I can't remember the mother, Superman's mother's name, but they had this message that's on repeat that kind of calms Superman down, and when he goes into the Fortress of Solitude and he listens to it over and over again. But at the end of the movie, he's grown as a character, which I did appreciate. It's just little subtle things that I noticed, that where he realizes that his true parents are the ones that raised him on Earth, like in Kansas. And then at the end of the movie, he's got all his memories surrounding him of all the moments that with his mom and Paul Kent. And I was like, that's better. And it was a subtle thing that James Gunn did, but it did show a development of Superman's character where before he was just hanging on to his biological parents and what they sent him for. And then at the end of the movie, he's more confident in his abilities and who he really is. And also, this Superman, by the way, is a lot, and that's another thing I'm sure people will get mad about, but it is what it is. It's just a different direction. He is a lot more seasoned than Henry Cavill's Superman, and more sure of himself, like who he is, basically. Henry Cavill was always trying to search who he was, what kind of Superman he's supposed to be. And I know that Zack Snyder had plans where he was going to be the big blue later on if they had pulled the rug out from under him. But this Superman's already there. Like, he's already confident. And it is very refreshing and nice to see that, again, Superman's been around for 3 years and already been revealed to the world of who he is. And you don't have to worry about the whole, let's show him growing up in Smallville and going to Metropolis and then revealing to the world who he is and then having this whole fucking thing. Yeah. So it was really nice.
I like it a lot, and I like you guys a lot. And we'll be talking about this more in the live streams. If you enjoy this review, click like on it. We appreciate that. And also check out those live streams, because we're live several times a week for 3 hours a night talking about Superman, talking about horror movie news, talking about everything. And we can really get into further on this and your all's thoughts on it. But we love your all's fucking faces, and we shall talk soon.
Hashtag wham shit.
Touch me.
Don't ever touch me.
Why?
Because I don't want you to.
But I share my Cheez-Its.
You know that annoys me.